Hey there, my name's Jasper. I live alone in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside Seattle. I'm a freelance graphic designer, which sounds a lot flashier than it really is. Most days, it's just me, my laptop, and a looping playlist of lo-fi beats holed up in a cozy apartment with creaky floorboards and a view of the neighbor's ivy-choked maple tree. The work's flexible enough, it covers the bills, but it leaves way too many empty hours. I fill them with late-night walks, quick sketches of half-formed ideas, or binge-watching shows I forget 5 minutes after they're over. It's a simple life. Maybe too simple sometimes. I don't have anyone special. Haven't for a while now. My last girlfriend said I was too much in my own head. What does that even mean? Maybe she was right. I don't know. My best friend from back in the day? That was Ronan. We were thick as thieves growing up. Bike races down the street, sneaking into movies, swiping beers from his dad's fridge when we thought we were so clever. He lived up the block in an old house, painted soft green, with a wraparound porch that wrapped us in summer evenings. We don't hang out as much these days. Ronan's off in the city, chasing some tech job with endless hours and free office snacks. I'm happy for him, really. But it's weird not having him around. The street feels quieter without his booming laugh, without the music he'd blast from his car windows. I still walk by his place out of habit. And then there's Clara, Ronan's mom. She lives alone in that house now, since the divorce. I remember when it happened. Ronan didn't talk about it much, just said his dad was gone for good. Clara, though? She's always been a steady presence. When we were kids, she was the mom who'd bake us cookies, laugh at our dumb jokes, even the ones that made no sense. She's the kind of person who makes you feel seen, without even trying. Lately, she spends her days gardening, reading on that porch, or greeting neighbors with her warm, easy smile. I'd catch glimpses of her when I passed by. We'd swap small talk, how my work was going, updates on Ronan. Nothing deep, just polite chatter. But every time our eyes met those soft, serene hazel ones, something stirred inside me. I'd push it down, tell myself it was nothing. She was my best friend's mom. That was the line. And I wouldn't cross it. It was one of those heavy summer afternoons, the kind where the air hangs thick and the sun beats down without mercy. I'd pulled an all-nighter tweaking a logo for a client, my brain foggy from lack of sleep. I needed to clear my head, so I laced up my sneakers and headed out for a walk around the block. My shoes scraped against the cracked sidewalk as I passed the familiar houses, white picket fences, kids' bikes leaning against garages, the usual hum of suburban life. I wasn't thinking about anything specific, just letting my feet lead the way. Then it hit me. Ronan had borrowed my USB drive a while back. It had old design files I needed for a project. He hadn't been home in weeks, but I figured I'd swing by anyway. Maybe Clara had it. Or I could leave a note. I climbed the steps to the house. The porch creaked under my weight. The front door was shut, curtains drawn, which wasn't like a weekend. I knocked twice, waited, nothing. Just as I turned to go, a sharp cry cut through from the backyard. It knotted my stomach instantly. No mistaking that voice. It was Clara. I bolted around the side of the house, through the neatly trimmed hedges, and there she was, sitting on the grass by her rosebush, clutching her ankle, her face twisted in pain. A pair of garden shears lay nearby. A thin trail of blood marked her calf where she'd scraped it. Her summer dress was smudged with dirt, and her hair, usually pinned up neat and tidy, hung loose and wild. "Clara, you okay?" I asked, dropping to a crouch beside her. My voice came out tighter than I meant. She looked up, startled, then forced a smile, just slipped on the grass. Slipperier than it looks. Her tone was steady, but I caught the wince she tried to hide. Blood seeped between her fingers where she gripped her leg. Without thinking, I slipped an arm around her waist to help her up. "Come on, let's get you inside." She leaned into me, her body warm and light against mine. I caught the faint lavender scent of her hair, mixed with the earthy smell of the garden. My heart hammered not just from worry. I told myself it was the adrenaline, nothing more. I half-carried her through the back door to the living room and eased her onto the couch. Her hand brushed mine as she settled in, and I pulled away a beat too fast. Being this close to her, alone in her quiet house, it shifted everything. Dangerous territory. But I couldn't just leave her there, hurt and by herself. I steadied her arm over my shoulder as she limped along. The living room hadn't changed since my teenage days. Same floral curtains, same worn oak coffee table, same faint lemon cleaner scent. But it felt quieter now, emptier, like the house was holding its breath. Clara sank into the cushions with a small sigh, her hand still clamped on her ankle. I could see the blood staining her fingers, a thin red line against her pale skin. "Stay put," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "I'll grab the first aid kit." "Jasper, you don't have to," she started. But I was already halfway to the kitchen. I knew right where it was. I'd seen it 100 times, back when Ronan and I raided her cabinets for after-school snacks. Bottom shelf, by the sink. I pulled out the white plastic box, grabbed a clean dish towel, and filled a bowl with warm water. My hands moved on autopilot. But my mind raced. She was hurt, sure, but being this close to her alone in her house, it stirred something deep. I shoved it aside. "She's Ronan's mom," I repeated. "Help her and go." Back in the living room, I knelt in front of her and set everything down. "Let me see," I said, keeping my eyes on her leg to avoid hers. The scrape wasn't deep, just an uneven gash from the rose thorns. But it looked painful. I dipped the towel in the water and dabbed away the blood, careful not to notice how soft her skin felt under my fingers. She flinched a little, and I glanced up. "Sorry, does it hurt?" "No," she whispered, her voice barely there. "You're doing great." Her eyes locked on mine, calm and warm. For a second, I forgot what I was doing. The room felt too small, the air too thick. I focused on the wound, wrapping a bandage around her calf with careful precision. My hands stayed steady. Inside, total chaos. Her summer dress had ridden up a bit, revealing the curve of her knee, the faint tan line from her gardening. I swallowed hard and kept my gaze down. "You've grown up, Jasper," she said, breaking the silence. Her tone was light, almost teasing, but it carried weight. "I remember you at 12, all elbows, and awkward. Too shy to meet my eyes when you came over with Ronan." I chuckled, the tension easing just a fraction. "Yeah, I was a mess back then. Still am, sometimes." I secured the bandage and rocked back on my heels, finally daring to meet her gaze. Just a different kind of mess now. She tilted her head, her lips curving into a small smile. "A different one, huh?" Her eyes held mine a beat too long, and my pulse kicked up. It wasn't just the words. It was how she said them, like she saw something in me I hadn't seen myself. I stood, needing to move, and grabbed the bowl to take it back to the kitchen. "You should rest that ankle," I said, my voice a little rough. "I can swing by tomorrow to check on it, if you want." "You don't have to play nurse, Jasper," she replied, but there was no edge to it. Just that same warmth, though I wouldn't mind the company. I paused in the doorway, back to her. Company. The word hung there simple but loaded. "Sure," I said, turning just enough to catch her eye. "I'll come by." I don't know why I said it, but the thought of leaving her alone in that big house, it twisted something in my gut. The days that followed, I found excuses to drop in. I'd bring antiseptic to check the bandage, or offer to water the roses since she couldn't get around much. Each time, we'd talk a little longer. She'd share stories about her garden, how the roses kept her world steady after the divorce. "It's just me and the flowers now," she said one afternoon, her voice soft but not sad. "Ronan's got his life in the city. I don't want to be a burden." I told her she'd never be one, and the way she looked at me, grateful, almost vulnerable, it squeezed my chest. I started opening up too, more than I meant to. I talked about my freelance gigs, my love for design, but also that drifting feeling, like I was waiting for something to click. She listened. Really listened. Not like most people, nodding while plotting their own turn to talk. One evening, out on her porch with iced tea, she reached over and squeezed my hand. "You're not drifting, Jasper. You're just finding your path." Her touch lingered, her fingers warm against mine, and I didn't pull away. I should have, but I didn't. It wasn't just the talks. It was the little things. The way she'd laugh at my stupid jokes. How her hair caught the light when she leaned in to point out a bloom. How her house started feeling less like Ronan's and more like hers. Each time I left, I'd swear to myself, "Stop this. Keep your distance." But the next day, I'd be back with coffee or for some small chore. That line I'd drawn in my head, Ronan's untouchable mom, it was fading, and I wasn't sure I wanted to redraw it. Every visit pulled us closer. I could feel her letting me in, too. Neither of us said it out loud, but the air between us shifted heavy with something we weren't ready to name. The air in Clara's house felt different now, warmer, thicker, like it held all the words we weren't saying. It was one Thursday evening. Her ankle was healing well enough that she moved without wincing. I stopped by almost every day, telling myself it was just to check in. But deep down, I knew it was more. That night, she insisted I stay for dinner as a thank you for all the help. Nothing fancy, she said, stirring a pot of spaghetti in the kitchen. The smell of garlic and tomatoes filled the air. Just something to save you from another microwaved burrito. I laughed, leaning against the counter, watching her move with that quiet grace. I couldn't help noticing. I should have said no, made an excuse, a work deadline, anything. But the idea of heading back to my empty apartment with its flickering desk lamp and cold leftovers? Unbearable. Okay, I said. But only if I set the table. She smiled, handing me a stack of plates. Her fingers brushed mine for a split second. It was nothing, and everything. My heart thudded. I turned away to hide it, focusing on forks and napkins like it was life or death. We sat across from each other at her small dining table, the one that had seen so many family meals back when Ronan was still around. A single bulb hung overhead, casting a soft, golden glow over the plates of pasta and glasses of cheap red wine. The windows were open, crickets chirped outside, a light summer breeze drifted in. It felt like a stolen moment from someone else's life, too intimate for what we were supposed to be. Just neighbors. Just a friend's mom and me. We started easy, chatting about her roses, my latest design project, how Seattle summers never last long enough. But the talk drifted, like it always did lately, to something deeper. Jasper, she said, twirling pasta on her fork, eyes on her plate. Have you ever felt like you're waiting for something, but you don't know what? Her voice was soft, almost hesitant, like she was testing the waters. I nodded, taking a sip of wine to buy time. All the time. Like I'm stuck in a loop cranking out logos for clients I'll never meet, wondering if this is it. I paused, then added, "What about you? What are you waiting for?" She looked up, her hazel eyes catching the light. I don't know. After the divorce, I thought I'd find peace in the quiet, the garden, the books, this house. But some nights, I sit here, and it's just empty. Ronan's off living his life. I'm proud of him, but this place feels like it's waiting too. She laughed softly, shaking her head. Listen to me getting all heavy. I must sound like a mess. No, I said, too quick. You sound real. My voice cracked. I cleared my throat to cover it. I mean, I see you out there with your roses, and you look so strong. But everyone has those quiet moments, right? She smiled. But it was different this time. Sadder. More open. You see me, huh, Jasper? She murmured, so quiet I almost missed it. Not many people do. I didn't know what to say. My chest tightened, like the air had thinned. I wanted to chase that loneliness from her eyes, say anything to fix it, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I reached across the table, covered her hand with mine. Her skin was warm, her fingers still under mine. We sat there, frozen. The crickets outside louder than ever. Then she turned her hand, laced her fingers through mine, and the world tilted. Dinner was forgotten. We cleared the plates together, moving through the small kitchen like we'd done it 100 times. I offered to wash up, needing to keep my hands busy, to ground myself. The sink foamed with suds, hot water against my skin. But I felt her behind me, like a pull I couldn't ignore. She stepped closer, drying a plate I passed her. I caught the faint lavender of her shampoo. Jasper, she said, her voice low. Do you ever think lonely people can find each other, even if the timing's all wrong? I turned. Water dripped from my hands onto the floor. She was so close I saw the fine lines at the corners of her eyes, the way her lips parted with each breath. Yeah, I said, my voice rough. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I hadn't planned it, but it was true. And the truth hit heavier than I expected. She didn't step back. Neither did I. We stood there, inches apart, kitchen light casting soft shadows on her face. Then, slow like we both feared, breaking something, she leaned in. I met her halfway. Our lips touched, soft at first, hesitant, like testing the edge of a cliff. Then, it deepened. Her hands on my shoulders, mine on her waist. It wasn't rushed or desperate. It was slow, deliberate, like we'd both been waiting without admitting it. The world outside faded, just her breath, her warmth, the way she pressed into me, like she needed it as much as I did. We pulled apart eventually, breathless, her forehead against mine. "Jasper," she whispered. "What are we doing?" "I don't know," I said, barely audible. "But I don't want to stop." She nodded, her eyes searching mine. And we kissed again, longer this time, like sealing something irreversible. The days after that night felt like a dream I wasn't sure I wanted to wake from. Clara and I didn't talk about the kiss outright, but it lingered in every glance, every brush of her hand as we passed in her kitchen. I kept coming over any excuse, checking her ankle, bringing takeout, fixing a loose hinge on the back door. Each visit drew us closer. Like gravity, we couldn't fight. We'd sit on her porch, sipping coffee, talking about everything and nothing, her favorite books, my half-baked dreams of starting a design studio, how the stars shone brighter out here than in the city. But there was always that undercurrent. A silent agreement. What we had was real, fragile, something to guard. We got good at being careful. I'd wait for dusk to cross the street when neighbors were home, curtains drawn. Clara dimmed the living room lights, making it look like a quiet night in. We stole calm moments, shared laughs over wine, her head on my shoulder, my fingers tracing the back of her hand. It wasn't just physical, it was deeper. Like she filled a hollow in me I hadn't noticed. She'd open up about life before the divorce years spent propping up a crumbling marriage. And I'd share my quiet battles, that endless chase for something I couldn't name. "You make me feel like I'm enough," she said one night, her voice soft against the cricket song. I wanted to tell her she was more than enough, that she was everything. But I just kissed her, let the moment speak. We knew we were playing with fire. Ronan was always there in the back of my mind, a shadow over every second. Clara felt it too. One evening, stretched out on her couch, her head nestled against my chest, she murmured, "We have to tell him, Jasper. Not right away, but soon. He deserves to know." I nodded, throat tight. "Yeah, we'll figure it out together." But honestly, I had no idea how. Ronan was my best friend, the guy who'd been there for every dumb fight, every late-night talk. The thought of him finding out, seeing the hurt in my eyes, it gutted me. But walking away from Clara? That wasn't an option anymore. I was in too deep. And so was she. It all came crashing down one Friday night, right after that first kiss. We were in her kitchen, cleaning up from another quiet dinner. Lasagna, this time her recipe, the one she'd make for Ronan and me as kids. I was drying dishes. She wiped the counter. We were laughing about some ridiculous design trend I'd seen online. Her hand grazed mine, reaching for a towel. I caught her wrist, pulled her close. She smiled, eyes sparkling. And we kissed slow, sure, like we had all the time in the world. Her arms around my neck, my hands on her waist. For a moment, it was just us. The rest of the world shut out. Then the front door slammed. "Mom?" Ronan's voice sliced through like a blade. I froze, my hand still on Clara. She pulled back, face draining of color. I turned, and there he was in the doorway, travel bag slung over his shoulder, eyes wide with shock. The room went dead silent. Only sound, the faucet drip I hadn't fully shut off. Ronan's gaze flicked from me to his mom. Back again, his face shifted from confusion to something darker. Betrayal, maybe. Or anger too raw to name. What the hell is this? His voice cracked high and unsteady. "Mom? Jasper? You two? What the?" "Ronan, honey, please." Clara stepped forward, hands out. Her voice steady but shaking, like she was holding the moment together. "Let me explain." "Explain what?" he exploded, dropping his bag with a thud. "That you're sleeping with my best friend in our house?" His eyes locked on me. It felt like a punch. "Jasper, man, what are you doing?" "That's my mom." I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. What could I say? That it wasn't what it looked like? It was exactly that, and more. I stepped back, hands falling limp. Ronan, I started, but he cut me off. No. His voice dropped low and cold. Just no. He turned to Clara, jaw clenched. I came home to surprise you, Mom. Guess I'm the one surprised. He snatched his bag and bolted out the door, slamming it behind him. Clara chased after, calling his name. But I heard his car peel out of the driveway before she reached it. I stood there alone in the kitchen, half-dried plates still in my hand. My chest felt hollowed out. Clara came back a minute later, eyes red, hands shaking. He's gone, she said, voice a whisper. I don't know what to do, Jasper. She looked at me, and for the first time I saw fear in her eyes. Not of me, of what we'd done, what we'd lost. I wanted to hold her, tell her we'd fix it, but I couldn't move. Ronan's words, his pain crushed me. I'd crossed a line I'd sworn not to, and there was no going back. The days after Ronan stormed out, they were like stumbling through fog. My apartment once, a peaceful hideout, felt suffocating. Walls too close, silence too loud. I'd leave my phone on the table, checking it every hour, hoping for a text from him, a call, anything, nothing. I tried messaging short apologies at first, careful ones, then longer, begging for a chance to explain. They sat unread, or maybe he read them and chose silence. Either way, it hurt worse than a fight. Clara called once, her voice thin and weary over the line. He's back in the city, she said. Won't talk to me either. I need time, Jasper. I'm sorry. The call ended, and that was it. No more visits, no more excuses to drop by. The house up the street stood quiet, porch empty, roses neglected. I tried slipping back into routine, mornings at my desk, sketching logos, tweaking designs, the glow of my screen as my only constant. But nothing felt the same. Every time I walked near her street, my chest would tighten, half hoping to spot her in the garden, half dreading it. I'd replay that night over and over. Ronan's face twisting in shock, the doors slam, Clara's trembling voice. I'd hurt my best friend, maybe broken something beyond repair. And yet, I couldn't regret her. Not Clara, not the way she'd looked at me like I was more than the kid who hung out with her son. That's what tore at me most. Knowing what we had was real. But it came at a cost I wasn't ready to pay. Weeks dragged on. I stopped walking by her place, took the long way around the block, buried myself in work, picking up extra gigs to fill the hours. But the quiet moments caught up. I'd lie awake at night, wondering if I should have stayed away that first day. Walked off when she fell, instead of helping her inside. But then I'd remember her hand in mine. The warmth of her kitchen, the way she said my name like it mattered. I didn't know how to let that go. Even if I had to. One crisp morning, early hints of fall in the air, I headed to Lenny's Beans for coffee. The same spot Ronan and I used to hit. I was waiting for my order when I saw her through the window, standing on the sidewalk outside. Clara. Clutching a small paper bag, coat pulled tight against the chill, hair tucked under a scarf. My heart jumped. But I didn't move. She didn't see me at first, just staring down the street, like she was waiting for something. Then her eyes met mine through the glass. And for a second, we just looked like no time had passed. I stepped out, leaving my coffee bag on the counter. Clara, I said, voice lower than I meant. You okay? She nodded, but her smile was small, fragile. I was going to leave this at your place, she said, holding out the bag. But since you're here, I took it. My fingers brushed the paper. Inside, the USB drive I'd come for that day, the one Ronan borrowed. Next to it, a folded note, her handwriting clean and precise. I didn't open it yet, just studied her face, the weight in her eyes. Ronan still won't talk to me, she said, voice steady but soft. I'm trying, Jasper. Letters, calls, voicemails. He's hurt, and I don't know how to fix it. She paused, breath visible in the cold air. I don't regret us. I need you to know that. But I can't keep hurting him. I nodded, throat tight. I know. I don't regret it either. The words hung heavy, true in a way that ached. I'm sorry, Clara, for how it went down. For him finding out like that. She shook her head, eyes glistening. Don't be. You didn't do anything wrong. Neither did I. We just found each other at the wrong time. She reached out, touched my arm for a moment, warming through my coat. Thank you, Jasper, for being kind, for seeing me. I wanted to say she'd changed me too, that those moments with her were the most alive I'd ever felt. But the words stuck. She stepped back, gave me one last look, then turned and walked away, scarf fluttering in the breeze. I stood there, bag in hand, watching her vanish around the corner. Back home, I opened the note. It was short, her neat script. Asterisk. Thank you for always being kind. Some things, even if they don't last, deserve to stay close to your heart. Asterisk. I sank onto my couch. USB on the table, note in my hand, and let it settle. I didn't cry, didn't yell. I just felt it all. The love, the loss, how it had slipped through my fingers. Ronan might come around someday. Or not. Clara and I might never be what we were. But what we had, even for a fleeting moment, was real. In the unexpected corners of our everyday lives, love shows up like a wildflower, pushing through a perfectly manicured garden, fragile yet unstoppable. My story with Clara reminds me of that sharp truth. Sometimes, the deepest connections bloom where we least expect them, between the lines of a childhood friendship and the shadows of a broken past. Picture it. A guy like me, lost in sketches and empty nights, reaching out to his best friend's mom, hurt in her rose haven. That simple act sparks something. A slow burn that melts invisible walls of age, roles, loyalty. Our talks, innocent at first, turn into whispered confessions on the porch, shared laughs that chase away the emptiness, stolen kisses in the familiar warmth of her kitchen. It's the core of being human, that raw ache to be truly seen, touched beyond the surface, to find, in one gaze, the key to a wandering heart. But love, beautiful and brutal, demands its price. When Ronan crossed that threshold, his world shattered in a heartbeat. Uncovering the crack of an unintended betrayal, the pain that follows that deafening silence, unread messages, streets we avoid, teaches a hard lesson, etched in quiet tears. Nothing real comes without risk. The strongest bonds, forged in boyhood, can snap under the weight of honest desire. Yet at the heart of that loss, endless worth. To love is to dare the impossible, to turn a fleeting spark into an eternal light. Clara's folded note, like a bittersweet goodbye, whispers it. Some things, even brief, belong close to the heart, because they make us more alive, more whole. In this real world, where regrets tangle with memories, let's lean into those bursts of light, forgive our stumbles, and move forward, hearts wiser, more open. Have you ever crossed a forbidden line, only to find a love that broke you open and pieced you back stronger? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. They're the threads that connect us all. If this hit home, hit subscribe for more tales that shake the soul and light the way. Together, let's wander the hidden gardens of our hearts. Thanks for being here. See you soon for more raw, real feels.